Hi everyone, I'm Sunny from Susan's family. Today I'm bringing you a new design, Radiant Yoke Vest from the Secret Garden series. This piece is divided into several parts: the front body, the back body, the shoulders and the hem. Start by crocheting the front body, then move on to the back body. Once that's completed, crochet the shoulders. Finally, crochet the hem. Here, the front body is made up of multiple motifs connected together. Work from left to right, and from bottom to top. You can also connect the motifs in your own preferred order. Just make sure they match up with the layout diagram in the end. There are two types of motifs here, called Motif 1 and Motif 2. Start by crocheting the first row of motifs. The first Motif 1 on the left side is the only complete motif. The remaining motifs need to be worked and joined along the last round. First, let's learn how to make this complete Motif 1. Start with a chain ring using the magic ring method. Crochet in rounds counterclockwise. Several crochet stitches will be applied. All the details are marked on the chart, so I won't list them one by one here. Please watch my demonstration for the specific crocheting method. First, cast on the stitches. Note that this item is crocheted using variegated yarn. Variegated yarn actually has multiple color segments. The starting position of the color when you begin crocheting will differ, and the final effect will also vary. You can refer to the finished product, or choose based on your own preference. Select the corresponding color section of the variegated yarn to start crocheting. For easier watching, I'll use cotton yarn for this demonstration. The colors are random. For specific yarn, color scheme and crochet hook size, please refer to the detail page of our product and the paper instructions. Take the yarn. First, make a foundation chain. Cast on 6 stitches. Mindful not to make the beginning chain too tight. After casting on, form a circle. Pick up the half loop on top of the first chain stitch loop. The joining slip stitch does not count as a stitch. Slightly tighten it. This completes the cast on. Move on to work the first round. First, make 1 chain stitch as the turning chain for the single crochet. It does not count as 1 stitch. Then, work 1 single crochet into the loop formed by the starting chain. While working, keep the starting yarn tail on top. Hide it as you go. Next, work 3 chain stitches as a bridge. After that, follow the pattern of working 1 single crochet first, then 3 chain stitches as a transition. Repeat this 5 times. If the stitches don't fit, shift the worked stitches to the right. Once done, locate the first single crochet stitch from the beginning. Work one slip stitch here to join. After completing, pull tight. This completes the first round. We will take the side with clearer texture of the single crochet as the right side of the fabric. Meanwhile, the cast-on yarn tail will be on the wrong side. If you're unsure, you can place a stitch marker on the right side to mark it. Now let's crochet the second round. Enlarge the loop. Take out the hook. Thread the fabric through the loop. Pull tight. Then insert the hook from back to front, between the single crochet stitches on the right side. Hook out the yarn through the space where you pick up the stitch. Note: don't pull this horizontal thread too tight to prevent the fabric from curling. Next, make 3 chains to start, which counts as 1 double crochet. After completing, work 3 chains as a transition. Then insert the hook between the single crochets on the left side. From back to front, hook a double crochet through the space where you pick up the stitch. Three chains for transition. Repeat this for the following sections. From back to front, insert into the space between the single crochets. Hook a double crochet through the stitch space. Three chains for transition. Everyone keep crocheting this round following the demonstration. Finally, pick up the top of the beginning chain. Counting from bottom to top. Hook into the 2 threads of the 3rd chain's edge. Make 1 slip stitch to connect. Pull tight after completing. After connecting with a slip stitch, always pull tight. This won't be mentioned again later. This completes the 2nd round. Now move on to the 3rd round. First, make 1 chain stitch as the turning chain for the single crochet. This doesn't count as 1 stitch. Then pick up the chain space from the previous round. Work 1 single crochet. 1 half double crochet. 2 double crochets. 1 half double crochet. 1 single crochet. Treat all the stitches in this space as 1 petal group. In each of the following chain spaces, work 1 petal group like this. Finally, join with a slip stitch to the first single crochet stitch. Finish. The 3rd round is complete. Now move on to the 4th round. Stretch the loop. Take out the hook. Pass the fabric through the loop. Tighten. Hook from back to front. Through the chain space of round 2. Horizontally through the beginning chain of round 2. Go back to the back side and draw the yarn through. Then chain 1 to begin. Next, work a half double crochet in the beginning chain of round 2. Work a back post half double crochet stitch. Yarn over once. On the back side, pick up this beginning stitch from right to left. Draw the yarn through. Finally, yarn over and draw through all loops on the hook in one go. This completes 1 back post half double crochet stitch. After completing, chain 6 as a transition. Next, work another back post half double crochet on the double crochet on the left side. Yarn over once. On the back side, pick up this double crochet from right to left. Draw the yarn through. After completing, chain 6 as a transition. Starting from this round, all stitches will be worked on the double crochets from round 2. Work a back post half double crochet, chain 6 in the middle as a transition. Repeat this process to complete the entire round. After completing the 6 chains, pick the first completed stitch, which is the horizontal loop on the left side of the beginning stitch. Work 1 slip stitch in this loop. This completes round 4. Now move on to round 5. First, work 1 slip stitch into the left chain space. The slip stitch shown in the diagram is oval-shaped, which indicates not to pull tight. Then chain 6 to begin. Work 8 double treble crochets in the same space. Wrap the yarn around the hook 3 times. Insert the hook. Then yarn over and pull through. Wrap the yarn again. Pull through the first 2 loops. Repeat this 3 more times. This completes 1 double treble crochet stitch. Continue with another double treble crochet. Wrap the yarn around the hook 3 times. Insert the hook. Then yarn over and pull through. Wrap the yarn again. Pull through the first 2 loops. Repeat this 3 more times. Next, crochet 6 double treble crochets. After completing them, crochet 6 chain stitches. Then make 1 slip stitch in the same hole underneath. Treat all the stitches in this hole as one petal. Next, in each chain space, crochet a group of petals like this. Continue crocheting the remaining petals using this method. Finally, locate the first slip stitch braid. Finish by making a slip stitch here. Round 5 is completed. After finishing, you can measure the size and compare it with the pattern's dimensions. If there's a big difference, adjust your tension and crochet again. To avoid affecting the finished product's size, once you confirm the size fits properly, crochet 1 chain stitch. Which works like a knot. Then cut the yarn. Weave in the remaining yarn tails on the wrong side of the fabric. You can weave in a few more stitches for security. Cut off the cast-on tail. And that's a complete motif 1 done. Next, continue crocheting the second motif and join it. The second motif is also motif 1. First, follow the method of the first complete motif 1, and crochet the first 4 rounds. Then move on to crochet the final round. You'll need to crochet the petals. Here the second motif 1 needs to be joined with the first complete motif 1. No matter which motif you're joining, it's always connecting in the middle of 2 petals. The last FPDT are of the first petal, and the stitch of the first FPDT are of the adjacent petal. We call them a pair of joining points. First, crochet up to the position before the petal where you need to connect. The petal position can be random here. I'm starting to connect the first joining point at the end of the second petal. Here I've already crocheted the previous petal. Now let's demonstrate the second petal. First, in the chain space hole, finish the first 7 FPDTR. After completing, stretch the loop, take out the hook. Pick up the first motif 1. Front side facing you. Find any petal. The stitch of the first FPDTR. Insert the hook from top to bottom. Hook up the loop. Pull through. Tighten. Continue crocheting the last FPDTR. After completing, crochet 6 chains. Then make 1 slip stitch in the same hole underneath. Complete the petal. Like this, 1 connection point is done. Next, connect the second connection point. Start crocheting the third petal. After completing the 6 beginning chains, stretch the loop. Take out the crochet hook. Pick up motif 1. Front facing you. Find the petal that's already connected. The stitch of the last FPDTR of the adjacent petal. Insert the hook from top. Downward through. Hook up the loop. Pull through. Tighten. Continue back to motif 2 to crochet. Complete this petal. This connection is made before crocheting the corresponding FPDTR? Pull the loop through the corresponding connection point. Then crochet the petal normally. Once done, you've now connected another joining point. This pair of connection points is now completed. The remaining petals don't need to be connected, just crochet accordingly. Once done, slip stitch into the first stitch. Then cut the yarn. And hide it inside the fabric. Everyone can finish this on your own. At this point, the second motif is completed. It's connected to the first full motif one on one side. Next, connect the third motif. The third motif in this row is motif 2. It needs to be connected to the second motif 1. The crocheting method for motif 2 is almost the same as motif 1, only the stitch count is different. Just like the second motif 1 in this row, work and join simultaneously on the 5th round. Also connect one pair of connection points. And the connection position should be symmetrical to the previous one on the right side. Please watch my demonstration for the specific joining method. Everyone follow the chart and crochet the first 4 rounds. Now let me demonstrate the final round. First, work to the position before the petal that needs to be connected. The petal position here can be chosen freely. I start connecting at the second petal position. My swatch has reached the corresponding position. First, crochet to the position before the last FPDTR. Then connect one connection point. The connection position should be centered and symmetrical to the left connection point. Don't connect it in the wrong place. Complete the petal after finishing the connection. Continue crocheting the third petal. Work to the position before the first FPDTR, and connect the next connection point. This completes the connection of a pair of points. Continue to complete the petal. The remaining petals after this won't need any more connections. Just crochet them correspondingly. After finishing, join with a slip stitch to the first stitch. Cut the yarn and weave in the ends. At this point, the explanation for the third motif is complete. After connecting, the motifs will form a long strip effect. Continue crocheting and connect the fourth motif in this row. This is motif 1. It needs to be connected with motif 2. Connect another pair of connection points. The connection position should be centered and symmetrical to the pair on the left side. Mindful to find the correct position. The joining method is the same as before. Everyone just crochet accordingly. At this point, the explanation for the fourth motif is complete. After this, proceed with the remaining motifs in this row. All are crocheted and connected following the same method as the previous motifs. The connection positions are centered and symmetrical to the previous ones. Before connecting, refer to the motif layout diagram to confirm the correct connection position. Then proceed with crocheting. Once connected, the motifs will form a straight horizontal row. Note that the third to last motif is motif 2. The rest are all motif 1. Don't connect them in the wrong positions. Everyone please complete the connection of the first row motifs on your own. Next, connect the motifs of the second row. All are motif 1. First, connect the first motif of this row. Let's look at the actual project. Here, the motif needs to connect with the top right corner of the first complete motif of the previous row, one pair of connection points. And also connect with the top left corner of the second motif of the previous row, one pair of connection points. The second motif needs to be connected to the first motif, and also connect with the motifs of the previous row. Here, a total of 3 pairs of connection points need to be connected. One pair connects with the first motif below. One pair connects with the second motif below. One pair connects with the third motif below. The remaining motifs in this row are connected using the same method as the second motif. The motifs in the remaining rows are all connected using the same method, each time connecting at the connection point between two petals. Refer to the layout diagram for the connection positions. Note: the two middle motifs of the last row are motif 2. Everyone, make sure not to crochet the wrong motif. At this point, the front body explanation is complete. After completing the front body, remember to add a stitch marker. On the first motif of each row and the last motif. If you don't have stitch markers, you can use a safety pin or paper clip instead. This will help you find the connecting motifs when crocheting later. Next, we'll demonstrate the back body section. The back body is divided into the body and the chest piece. The motifs are arranged in a wavy pattern. I've used colors in the layout diagram for distinction. Each has 3 rows of motifs, made up of motif 1 and motif 2 connected together. Next, I'll explain from left to right and bottom to top. First, let's explain the body section. The first motif of the first row needs to connect with the last motif of the first row on the front body with one connecting point. Mindful that the back body motifs and front body motifs are arranged differently. Make sure not to connect in the wrong position. Let's take a look at the layout diagram. My chart here is for teaching purposes only. In reality, please follow the actual project in your hands. In the layout diagram, I've used asterisks in the same color to indicate the corresponding connection points. The first motif 1 of each row. At the marked connecting point pair. Connect with the same marked connecting point pair as the last motif on the front body. The second motif of this row needs to connect with the connecting point pair at the bottom left to the connecting point pair at the top right of the first motif. The connecting points on both sides of the same motif are also centered symmetrically. After connecting, it will form a wavy shape. The remaining motifs of this row are worked and connected in the same way as the previous motif, all the way to the last motif. This motif needs to not only connect with the previous motif, but also connect with the first motif of the first row on the front body, at the centered symmetrical, connecting point pair on the left side. Note: the third and seventh motifs of the first row are motif 2. The other 2 rows are all motif 1. Work the connections according to the layout diagram. Pay attention to the first motif of each row, it must connect with the last motif of the corresponding row on the front body. The last motif of each row must connect with the first motif of the corresponding row on the front body. This concludes the explanation of the body section. Next, we'll explain the chest piece. The motifs on the chest piece do not need to connect with the front body. Simply work from left to right, and crochet and connect from bottom to top. The first and second rows have 2 fewer motifs than the body. The last row has 2 fewer motifs. Refer to the chart and layout diagram for connection positions. Note: some positions are motif 2. The rest are motif 1. Don't crochet the wrong one. After completing, place stitch markers on the first and last motif of the second row, and on the first motif of the third row, the second, the fourth and the fifth motifs. This helps locate the connecting motifs when crocheting the shoulders. This concludes the explanation of the front piece. Next, we'll explain the shoulders. The shoulders are divided into the right and left shoulders. Each consists of 2 motif 2s and 1 motif 1. These 3 motifs connect the front and back bodies. Let's first explain the connection of motifs for the right shoulder. The left and right mentioned here refer to the actual left and right when wearing. The first motif of the right shoulder is motif 2. It needs to be connected to the first motif of the last row of the front body, and also connected to the fourth and fifth motifs of the third row of the back body. The second motif is motif 1. It also needs to be connected to the front bodice 5th row, and the first motif of the 6th row, and the 5th motif of the 3rd row on the back body, and the 7th motif of the 2nd row, the third motif is motif 2. It needs to be connected to the previous motif, and also connect to the front body. 4th row. First motif of the 5th row. And the 7th motif of the 2nd row on the back body. This completes the right shoulder. Next, let's explain how to connect the motifs for the left shoulder. The left shoulder motifs are symmetrical to the right shoulder motifs. The 3 motifs on the left shoulder need to be connected to the last motif of the last 3 rows on the front body. Also connect to the back body. The first motif of the 2nd row, and the first motif of the 3rd row, the second motif. I use the same color triangle symbols on the layout chart to indicate the corresponding connection points. Please refer to the layout chart to complete the crocheting at the connection positions. Be mindful not to connect in the wrong places. That concludes the explanation of the shoulder motifs. Next, we'll move on to the explanation of the hem. The hem is divided into the front body hem and the back body hem. Each consists of 4 motifs connected to the first row of the front and back bodies. The 4 motifs of the front body hem need to be connected to the connection points below the 7 center motifs of the first row on the front body. Connect them to the connection points underneath the middle 7 motifs of the first row on the front body. They also need to be connected to each other. The 4 motifs of the back body hem are connected to the left and right positions of the 2 motifs on the first row of the back body. Pay attention to these 2 pairs of connection points below motif 2, they need to be connected. The middle 2 motifs are not connected. Just complete the connections according to the chart. That concludes the explanation of the hem. Up to this point, the entire product has been fully explained. If you have any unclear parts during the crocheting process, don't hesitate to join our Facebook group to get supports. Susan's Family, supporting your handwork experience, sharing the joy of life. Thank you for watching. See you in the next episode.